When others wound you, when their words cut deep, and when betrayal pierces your soul, how do you believe God deals with those who hurt you? A life is not free from pain, and often the deepest wounds are caused not by strangers, but by those closest to us. In those moments of brokenness, it is natural to want justice instantly, to demand that wrongs be made right in our timing. Yet, the divine way is different. God's dealings are not limited by human emotion or impulse. His ways are deliberate, higher, and deeply purposeful. When you are hurt, remember this: God sees. He is not distant nor blind to your suffering. Every offense, every betrayal, every injustice against you has been recorded in the eternal account. But unlike human retaliation, his justice does not flow from anger alone. It flows from love, correction, and restoration. He knows when to act, and he knows how to act in ways that both protect you and give the offender a chance to change. Sometimes the most painful seasons are the very tools God uses to shape your spirit. The wound that was meant to destroy you becomes the very place where his strength is made visible. Your pain is not wasted. What feels like an unjust blow can be transformed into a platform for growth, resilience, and testimony. God does not let hurt linger without reason. He weaves even betrayal into the tapestry of your destiny. But here is the challenge: while God is dealing with those who hurt you, he is also dealing with you. He examines your heart, testing if you will harbor bitterness or choose forgiveness. It is not that your pain is dismissed. It is that your heart must remain open for divine restoration. The one who caused harm will face their moment of reckoning, but you must be careful not to let anger poison your soul. Forgiveness is not approval of their actions. It is the release of their control over your life. What many forget is that God often protects in silence. You may never know the dangers you were spared because of his hidden shield. The trap set against you might have turned on the one who planned it, not because of your hand, but because of divine intervention. This is the mystery of God's dealings. What was meant for your fall becomes the very thing that lifts you. The outcome belongs to him. When you release the need for revenge, you step aside and allow God to move, and when he moves, the result is always perfect. Sometimes he humbles the one who hurt you. Sometimes he changes their heart. Sometimes he elevates you so high that their offense can no longer reach you. In every case, his justice is complete and his purpose is fulfilled. So when you are hurt, take comfort. You are not forgotten, and you are not unprotected. Trust the process of divine justice. Rest in the assurance that God's dealings are always righteous, always timely, and always for your ultimate good. When you have been wronged, when betrayal leaves you bleeding within, the first natural impulse is to fight back, to defend yourself, and to prove to the world that you deserve justice. It is an instinct buried deep in the human heart to demand repayment for pain and to hold others accountable for the wounds they caused. Yet there is a higher way, a path not carved out of human anger, but one that flows from divine wisdom. God's justice does not mirror human retaliation. It surpasses it in depth and timing and in ultimate impact. What people fail to understand is that human revenge is shallow. It seeks immediate satisfaction, a quick strike to balance the scale. But divine justice is layered, purposeful, and eternal, dealing not only with the offender, but also shaping the one who has been offended. When you are hurt, you may feel invisible. You may wonder if anyone notices the tears you cry in silence, or if the pain has been ignored by heaven. But the truth is that nothing escapes God's attention. His justice is not reactive, it is intentional. Where human retaliation may burn bridges and deepen cycles of bitterness, God's justice builds paths of restoration and ensures that wrongs are addressed in ways that bring lasting results. This does not mean that every hurt will be undone in your time frame, nor that the person who harmed you will always be punished in a visible way. Instead, God works in realms beyond your sight. He addresses hearts, he rearranges circumstances, and he ensures that no act of cruelty or injustice goes unnoticed. Revenge often feels satisfying in thought, but leaves the soul empty in practice. It consumes energy, it steals peace, and it rarely brings the closure it promises. Divine justice, on the other hand, does not leave you restless. It may not come in the moment you expect, but when it comes, it brings both peace and a sense of completion. Sometimes the offender is humbled in ways you could never orchestrate. Other times, the hurt they caused you becomes the very stepping stone that elevates your life in a greater purpose. That is the beauty of God's dealings. He does not merely settle the score, he writes a greater story. Think of the times in your life when someone's betrayal forced you to grow stronger, when rejection redirected you to better opportunities, or when lies spoken against you only highlighted the truth of your character in the long run. These outcomes are not accidents, they are evidence of a higher justice at work. While you may have been tempted to respond in anger, God's way brought outcomes that were far greater than any act of retaliation you could have executed. His justice is not only about addressing the wrongdoer, it is about protecting your destiny, refining your character, and ensuring that you are not dragged into cycles of hatred and bitterness. There is also a mystery in the way God handles those who hurt you. Sometimes his justice looks like correction, giving them a chance to turn from their ways. Sometimes it looks like exposure, where their actions catch up with them in plain sight, and sometimes it looks like elevation, where he lifts you so high that their offense cannot touch you anymore. Whatever form it takes, it always proves that his ways are higher, his timing is perfect, and his purpose is unshakable. So when you feel the weight of injustice pressing upon your heart, Resist the urge to retaliate in your own strength. Step back and trust in the unseen hands of divine justice. Remember that your anger may bring temporary relief, but God's justice brings eternal results. His dealings are never out of proportion, never misguided, and never late. In the end, those who wronged you will face the reality of their choices, and you will stand as a living testimony that God's justice is not only higher than human revenge, but also far more satisfying. There are moments in life when pain seems unbearable, when betrayal, rejection, or cruelty cuts so deeply that you wonder if healing is even possible. In those moments, it may feel as though your suffering serves no purpose, that it is random, unfair, and meaningless. But in the divine perspective, pain is never wasted. Every tear has value, every wound has meaning, and every moment of heartbreak is woven into a greater purpose that may not be visible to you yet. God never allows pain to enter your life without attaching to it a lesson, a strengthening, or a redirection that ultimately works for your growth and destiny. When you are in the middle of hurt, it is difficult to see beyond the immediate sting. You may feel like your trust has been shattered, your spirit weakened, and your hope dimmed. Yet, hidden within that very pain is the seed of transformation. Pain has a way of awakening parts of you that comfort and ease never could. It shapes your resilience, it deepens your compassion, and it teaches you lessons about endurance, humility, and faith that only suffering can teach. While no one desires pain, it often becomes the tool that molds you into the person you were meant to be. Think about it, some of your greatest insights, your deepest wisdom, and your most defining strengths were not born in seasons of happiness, but in seasons of struggle. Pain presses you to dig deeper, to reach for strength you did not know you had, and to find comfort in the presence of God in ways you may not have sought otherwise. While people may wound you and circumstances may crush you, God does not allow those experiences to be wasted. He gathers every fragment of your suffering and uses it as raw material to build something greater in you and for you. There is also a refining quality to pain. Just as fire purifies gold, so too does pain strip away illusions, pride, and false securities. It reveals what truly matters and brings clarity to what is lasting and what is temporary. The very things you once thought you could not live without may be removed through painful experiences, but in that loss you discover a deeper strength, a stronger foundation, and a clearer sense of who you are. In this way, pain is not a thief, it is a teacher. It may take away what was fragile, but it replaces it with what is unshakable. Another powerful truth is that pain connects you with others in ways nothing else can. When you have suffered, you understand suffering in others. You can extend compassion, patience, and kindness because you know firsthand what it feels like to be broken. Your pain equips you to comfort others, to encourage those who are weary, and to shine light in the darkness for those who are still struggling. In this way, your pain is not only about your journey, but also about your ability to lift others. God never wastes an experience, even the painful ones, because they prepare you to be a vessel of healing for others. Most importantly, pain teaches you to trust the process of divine timing. While you may not understand why you had to endure certain wounds, you learn through experience that nothing is outside of God's awareness. Pain has a way of reminding you that He is present even in silence, that He is at work even when the outcome seems delayed. What you once thought would break you becomes the very testimony of how you were carried, sustained, and strengthened beyond your own ability. So, the next time you face the sting of betrayal or the ache of disappointment, remember this truth: your pain is never wasted. It may not make sense now, but in the hands of God, it is purposeful. It will build your character, shape your destiny, and even become a source of strength for others. The scars you carry are not marks of defeat. They are reminders that pain, no matter how deep, has been transformed into wisdom, resilience, and hope. There is a restlessness in the human heart that longs for immediate resolution whenever pain or injustice occurs. We want wrongs corrected now, wounds healed now, and answers given now. But divine timing does not follow human clocks, and that is often the hardest truth to accept. When you are hurting, waiting feels like an extra burden, almost like another wound. Yet the beauty of God's ways is that He never arrives too early, and He never arrives too late. His timing is perfectly aligned with your destiny. And when the moment comes, restoration flows in ways far greater than you could have imagined. When people hurt you, your instinct may be to demand quick justice. You might want to see them corrected immediately, to witness them reap what they have sown without delay. But divine timing teaches patience. God does not act out of haste or impulse, He acts out of wisdom. He sees the entire picture, the past that shaped you, the present that challenges you, and the future He has prepared for you. In that broader vision, the timing of your restoration is carefully arranged so that nothing is wasted and everything falls into place exactly as it should. It is important to understand that delays are not denials. When answers seem slow, when justice seems postponed, it is not because heaven has forgotten you. Rather, it is because certain pieces of the puzzle are still being arranged. Sometimes hearts need to be softened, circumstances need to shift, or hidden dangers need to be removed before restoration can safely arrive. Divine timing is like the rhythm of a master musician. Every note is perfectly placed, even if you only hear fragments at first. The waiting season itself carries deep purpose. In those silent stretches of time, you are being refined, patience is stretched, faith is tested, and your inner strength is built. If everything came instantly, you would never discover the depth of your endurance or the capacity of your spirit to hold on. Waiting humbles you, but it also matures you. It teaches you to let go of control and to trust that even in the unseen, God is moving. What feels like stagnation is often the preparation ground for breakthroughs you cannot yet see. And when restoration finally comes, it rarely arrives in the way you expected. Divine timing does not simply replace what was lost, it multiplies. It brings back more than what was taken. It elevates you beyond the level you once stood, and it turns your scars into symbols of strength. The season of pain becomes the backdrop against which the light of restoration shines even brighter. What once seemed unbearable is transformed into a testimony of resilience and grace. There is also protection in divine timing. If God were to restore too soon, you might step back into environments or relationships that are not yet safe. You might reclaim blessings that you are not yet ready to carry. By waiting, you are not being punished, you are being preserved. Timing ensures that when restoration comes at last, it ensures that no one can undo what has been established because it arrives at the exact moment it is meant to flourish. So the next time you wonder why justice has not yet appeared, why healing feels delayed, or why your breakthrough seems far away, remind yourself of this truth: divine timing is never late. The moment will come when the balance shifts, when the broken pieces are gathered, and when what was lost is restored in fullness. And when it does, you will understand why the wait was necessary. You will see how every delay served a purpose, how every moment of waiting built your character, and how restoration at the right time was far sweeter than anything you could have rushed on your own. When hurt enters your life, whether through betrayal, rejection, or injustice, the first reaction is often anger, resentment, or a deep desire for revenge. These feelings are natural, but in the divine process, every wound also comes with a test of the heart. This is where your spiritual growth is measured not by how much pain you can endure, but by how you respond to it. The heart test is one of the most significant ways God shapes character because it forces you to choose between bitterness and forgiveness, between holding on and letting go, between walking in heaviness or stepping into freedom. Pain always reveals what is inside of you. When you are pressed by hardship, what flows out shows the true condition of your heart. It is easy to be kind when everyone treats you well, and it is easy to be loving when life feels gentle. But the real measure of your spirit is seen when you are wronged. Do you lash out, plotting how to strike back? Do you allow resentment to take root, poisoning your peace? Or do you turn your pain into prayer, releasing your anger to God and trusting Him to bring justice in His way? This is the essence of the heart test. The truth is that God is less concerned with the actions of those who hurt you than He is with your response to them. He can handle their choices. Their accountability is inevitable. But what matters for your journey is how you allow the wound to shape you. If bitterness takes root, it will block your blessings, cloud your vision, and drain your joy. But if you choose forgiveness, even when it feels impossible, you open the door for healing and divine intervention. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength in its highest form. It does not excuse the harm, but it releases the hold that harm has over your life. The heart test is not about pretending you are unaffected. It is about being honest with your pain while refusing to let it define you. It is about acknowledging the injustice without letting it control your future. Many people carry scars not because of what was done to them, but because they refuse to let go of the offense. They allow anger to become a companion, bitterness to become a shield, and vengeance to become their secret mission. But in doing so, they trap themselves in the very pain they long to escape. Passing the heart test means refusing to let the actions of others dictate the condition of your spirit. There is also a hidden blessing in choosing forgiveness. It makes room for divine justice. When you let go of revenge, you make space for God to move on your behalf. Holding on to bitterness is like trying to fight your own battles with blunt weapons. But releasing it allows the one who sees all to fight with precision, wisdom, and perfect timing. By passing the heart test, you are not only protecting your peace, you are activating God's intervention in your life. The heart test reveals your readiness for greater responsibility. If you cannot let go of small offenses, how can you be entrusted with greater influence? If every wound leads you into resentment, how can you lead others with compassion? Passing the heart test refines your spirit, strengthens your character, and prepares you for higher callings. What feels like a setback is often preparation for elevation, and the key to that promotion is how you respond when wrong. So when hurt comes, do not only focus on what was done to you. Ask yourself, how am I responding? What is my heart reflecting right now? The true victory is not when the offender is corrected. It is when you remain unbroken, unbitter, and unshaken. That is the power of passing the heart test. There are times in life when you look back at seasons of betrayal, disappointment, or conflict and realize something profound. You survived what should have destroyed you. You endured situations that were heavier than your strength, yet you did not collapse. You were shielded in ways you did not even recognize at the time. This is the mystery of hidden protection. While people may scheme against you, while words may be spoken to tear you down, and while traps may be set in secret, God quietly works behind the scenes to ensure that their plans do not succeed. You may not always see it, but there are countless battles you never had to fight because they were already won for you in silence. Hidden protection means that not everything aimed at you reaches you. Just because you felt pain does not mean you felt the full force of what was intended. Sometimes you only experienced a fraction of the harm because unseen hands diverted the rest. The slander that could have ruined your reputation was exposed before it spread too far. The betrayal that could have crushed your spirit only pushed you toward a new door of opportunity. The trap that was carefully laid for your fall ended up catching the one who set it. In ways you may never know fully, you have been kept, guarded, and preserved by divine intervention. It is easy to focus only on the visible hurt, the wounds that left scars, and the losses that you remember vividly. But the truth is, there are far more dangers you never saw, more attacks that never reached you, and more harm that was silently blocked. If you only knew the full extent of what you were spared from, your gratitude would outweigh your pain. Hidden protection is not dramatic, it is subtle. It does not always make headlines in your life, but without it, you would not be standing today. Protection looks like rejection. What you thought was a missed opportunity may have been a shield from something that would have drained you. That relationship you grieved may have been the very connection that would have sabotaged your future. That job you lost may have been the door that was never meant to carry your destiny. At the time, it feels like loss, but in truth, it was protection. The path closed not because you were unworthy, but because you were being spared. Hidden protection often disguises itself as disappointment, but in time, its wisdom becomes clear. There are also moments when hidden protection is revealed in hindsight. You look back and realize that if events had unfolded differently, you might not have survived, you might not have grown, you might not have discovered your true call in hardship. The hardships you endured turned out to be a shield in disguise, steering you away from greater harm. What was meant to destroy you became the very thing that redirected your steps into safety and blessing. The betrayal that hurt you deeply may have been the only way to separate you from people who were secretly against you. Painful as it was, it saved you from deeper wounds later. And then there is the greatest truth. Hidden protection ensures that no weapon formed against you prospers, not because the weapon wasn't real, but because it was stopped before it reached its full power. Every scheme, every plot, every intention that rises against you must first pass through the filter of divine permission. If it does not serve your growth, if it does not align with your destiny, it is dismantled before it ever touches you. That is why some storms die out before they reach your shores. That is why some enemies fall silent without explanation. That is why you can stand even after everything you have been through. So the next time you wonder why certain things did not work out, why certain people walked away, or why certain plans suddenly collapsed, remember this truth. You are under hidden protection. What you see is only part of the story. What you do not see is far greater. You have been carried, shielded, and preserved in ways beyond your understanding. And because of that, you can walk forward with confidence, knowing that what was meant for evil has already been turned into good before it even touched you. One of the most challenging truths to accept when you are hurt is that the outcome is not in your hands. Everything in human nature cries out for control. You want to decide how the person who wronged you should be punished, how quickly justice should arrive, and how your own healing should unfold.
Yeah.
The divine process reminds us again and again that the final outcome belongs to God. He alone sees the whole picture. He alone weighs both the offense and the greater purpose. And He alone knows how to bring closure in a way that is complete and lasting. When someone hurts you, your heart burns with the need to set things right. You might replay the scenario in your mind, crafting the perfect words to confront them, or imagining scenarios where they finally face the pain they caused you. But in truth, holding tightly to control only deepens your suffering. The more you try to force an outcome, the more frustration you feel when things do not unfold according to your plan. Trusting God with the outcome is not about ignoring your pain. It is about releasing the heavy burden of control and allowing Him to do what only He can do. The beauty of surrendering the outcome is that it sets you free. You no longer have to carry the weight of revenge, the endless calculations of how justice should look, or the bitterness that eats away at your peace. Instead, you step back and let God, who sees every hidden motive and every secret detail, move in His perfect timing. The offender cannot escape divine accountability, but neither can you be robbed of your peace when you release it into His hands. This shift of perspective allows you to heal because you no longer tie your recovery to someone else's downfall. You tie it to God's promise of restoration. There is also a depth of wisdom in the way God handles outcomes. Sometimes He humbles the person who hurt you in ways you could never orchestrate. Sometimes He transforms them, using their wrong against you as the very thing that awakens their conscience and leads them to change. And sometimes He does not focus on them at all, but instead elevates you so high that their actions no longer matter. In every case, His outcome is greater than anything your anger or imagination could achieve. What you think you need for closure is often far less than the powerful ending He writes for your story. When you realize the outcome belongs to God, you also discover peace in waiting. You stop rushing, you stop forcing, and you stop losing sleep over how things will turn out. Even if the person who hurt you seems to go unpunished in the moment, you know that time reveals everything. Divine justice is not bound to the urgency of your emotions. It is bound to truth, and truth always comes to the surface, no matter how deeply it is buried. Trusting the outcome to God means believing that He will bring everything to light at the right moment and in the right way. This trust is not weakness, it is strength. It takes more courage to release control than to cling to it. It takes more faith to wait than to retaliate. But in doing so, you position yourself to experience peace that surpasses understanding. You are no longer defined by what others did to you, but by how you chose to rise above it. You become a living testimony that while people may wound, they cannot determine your destiny. Only God can, and his outcome is always good. So when hurt weighs heavily on your heart, whisper this truth to yourself: the outcome does not belong to me, it belongs to God. And when you live from that place of surrender, you will find strength in silence, peace in uncertainty, and freedom in knowing that the ending to your story will be written by the one who never fails. Life is a journey marked by wounds, betrayals, and disappointments, but is also a journey marked by divine wisdom, unseen protection, and higher justice. Through every season of hurt, we are invited to rise above our natural impulses and trust in a greater plan at work. When others wrong you, it is easy to focus on the pain, the injustice, and the desire to see them corrected. Every step of this process reminds us that God is not only concerned with what was done to you, he is deeply concerned with who you are becoming through it. His justice is not like human revenge. It is higher, deeper, and purposeful. Your pain is never wasted. It shapes you, strengthens you, and equips you for greater things. His timing may test your patience, but it always ensures that restoration comes at the perfect moment, multiplied beyond what you lost. And in the midst of the wait, the true test is your heart, whether you will let bitterness rule or choose forgiveness and freedom. Even when you cannot see it, his hidden protection shields you from dangers you may never know, turning potential destruction into divine redirection. And when it is all said and done, the outcome belongs to him, not to your enemies, not to your emotions, and not to the injustice itself. The final word rests with God, and his word is always truth, justice, and victory. So release the weight of revenge, let go of the burden of control, and trust that the one who sees all is already working in ways beyond your imagination. Stand firm in this assurance: no wound is forgotten, no tear is wasted, and no act of cruelty escapes the eyes of heaven. You are not alone, you are not unprotected, and you are not without hope. The very things that tried to break you will become the stepping stones that lift you. And in the end, your life will shine as living proof that God's dealings are always perfect, always timely, and always for your ultimate good.